Hey all, welcome to another session with me, Varun at Odin School. And in this session, we will be talking about random forest, but a bit in detail. And as we all know, we are on advanced machine learning with Python. And when we talk about machine learning, for all those of you who are watching this video or who are on this platform for the first time, guys, machine learning is one of the most important branches of artificial intelligence. Notwithstanding machine learning, we also have deep learning, and we know that both of these models are considered to be the hot cake of 2020, which give us a reason that is good enough to learn machine learning and to master it. And to give you all an idea, guys, we at Odin School, we are a technology upskilling platform, and we would help you continuously acquire new skills. Thereby, you could stay skilled and stay ahead. And my name is Varun, guys, and I work as a developer predominantly and as a trainer passionately. And over these years of my experience, I've been able to work on different languages like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, R, Python, etc. And on different technologies like SAP, machine learning, deep learning, etc. Right, so this is a bit about me, and all this is complete credits to the different organizations that I worked with. So yeah, the agenda of this session would be to understand what is OOB variable importance, right? But before going into that, I hope by now we all already know what is a random forest, right, guys? Also, what is the concept of overfitting? Also, we've covered a separate video on understanding what is decision tree versus random forest. We have spoken about the advantages. We know the disadvantages as well. And guys, for all those of you who do not know what I'm talking about here, then I would request you to please go ahead and watch the video which is earlier. Okay, and notwithstanding this, uh, when we talk about the concept of OOB or probably variable importance, we would have to go a bit deeper than understanding the basics. So in this session, we will be focusing on a couple of other points as well, wherein the first one is OOB prediction, that is out of the bag prediction for continuous variables. And then we would also see what is variable importance, right, guys? And then we'll see, or probably we could check out some terminologies which are related. Also, a bit on how to fine tune the model so that you have a better OOB prediction because of which you could choose your variables correctly. And then we finally, as we all know, we predict and check, check or test, whatever you want to call it. Right, guys. Now, some known, predominantly known features of random forest, as we all know, are it is unexcelled in accuracy among the current algorithms. Through that, it runs very efficiently on large databases. No argument. I mean, this happens to be a shortfall of decision tree. It can handle thousands of input variables without variable deletion. Point given. It gives estimates of what variables are important in classification. All right. It generates an internal unbiased estimate of the generalization error. Right, guys? So we all know that random forest it can give us an internal and this estimate which we get it is unbiased. Okay, and this also can happen. It has an effective method for estimating missing data. So it means that random forest is good at handling missing data too, and it maintains the accuracy when large proportion of data is also missing. Well, this point is a very, very important point because in real time scenario, none of us would be using small data sets or none of us would be having data set with no errors. So having this in mind, this is what, or this is how we work on, or these are the advantages of random forest. Now, going forward, random forest has methods for balancing errors also. Okay, it can, okay, generated forest can be saved from for future use also. Okay, so all these that you're able to see, they are different uh, capabilities of random forest, right? So here you have prototypes. In random forest, you could have prototypes in the computer to give information about the relationship between variables and classification. That can also be done. Then it computes proximities between pairs of cases that can be used in clustering, locating outliers, and it would also give interesting views of the data. And guys, then the capabilities of the above, I mean, all the capabilities which we were talking about all the while, they can be extended to unlabeled data also. I hope you all know what is labeled data and unlabeled data. Right, guys? So this would lead to unsupervised clustering, data views, and outlier detection. So all of these could also be done. Then the last point, it offers an experimental method for detecting variable interactions. Well, this is something that we're not very concerned of. Right, so here let us now discuss the concepts which are of importance. So when we talk about OOB, that is out of the bag, then what do we mean by OOB? Or in fact, how would OOB help us? And what is variable importance? And how do we deduce variable importance out of OOB? Or is it out of variance we reduce OOB? Right, guys? So things like this is what we would be, oops. Right, so things like this is what we would be understanding now. So firstly, when we talk about random forest, in just a generic definition or an understanding, we know that random forest is a way or is a method of averaging deep deficiencies, and this is trained on multiple sets with the intention to overcome something called as the problem of fitting, the problem of overfitting. Right, guys? So the other speciality of random forest is they can be used for regression classification, both of them. All right, and there are a lot of other disadvantages that we have seen. But whenever we probably talk about random forest, there is one topic or there is one issue that comes up generally, which is overfitting or underfitting. Now, if you are explaining your training set, that is, instead of finding patterns that generalize is what overfitting is. In other words, your model learns the training data by heart instead of learning the patterns, which prevent it from being able to generalize the test data. It means that your model fits well to training data set, but generally it fails on the validation set. This is how it always happens. And guys, so in order to avoid things like these, we have different levels or we have different methods or different properties that can be used by different people for different purposes at different points of time. Now, why is this, language or sorry, why is this model, this machine learning algorithm in specific, why is it so famous? So when we talk about random forest in generic, it is one of the most widely used classifier. This is something that we all should have known. And it can, now this again, as said, does not mean it cannot be used for regressors, but it performs great on categorical target variables. And guys, and here the greatest part is, unlike decision tree, we generally do not see that the random forest algorithm tends to overfitting. The second point is the best part of algorithm, which is it is less time consuming. That is, you can say the computational cost is too low. All right. So this is how it generally works. Now, when we talk about how does this work technically, now all the while we were talking about a generalized approach. Now, if we talk about how does the random forest work technically, so here we would be having a couple of points. So the first one is random record selection. Right now, here when we talk about random record selection, here we have every tree which is trained almost on 60% data. All right, and then classes would be built based on random replacement. And what is this? What is the thing that is randomly getting replaced? It is the data set only, or it is the information from your data set to be more precise. And this sample which we gain, this is used for training set for growing the tree. Right, guys. Then the next method that we have is, I think it's better this way. So the first method was random record selection. The second method that we have would be random variable selection. Right, guys. Now, the difference between random variable selection and random record selection. Here in random variable selection, some variables or not just some predictor variables that we have, they are selected randomly. Right, guys. And the best split on these is based on the value of m. And what is m should definitely be your question now. M is nothing but the square root of the root of total number of predictors. Total number of predictors. Right, guys. And for regression, when we are like whenever we focus on regression, like this is just an offbeat topic, m is the total number of all predictors, which is divided by 3. Right, guys. This is only for classification. Right. Now going forward, now that we know each tree is cut, and because there would obviously be some data which is not taken into account, we would now start calculating the misclassification rate. Let me write down these terminologies so that you may also get to make a note of it. Misclassification rate is also termed as OOB error rate. And guys, now this OOB error rate, that is aggregate error from different trees, it is used to determine overall error rate for this kind of a classification. That is, if we are growing on an average, let us just assume if we are growing 100 trees, okay, so you would notice that because we've already consumed 60% of data, the leftover is 40%. It would be 100 into 40, all right, and this would come up to somewhere around 40 trees. Right, guys, so this is how it works. Now here each tree, it gives a classification on leftover data. This is what we call as OOB, and we say the tree votes for the class. That is, here the forest only, the random forest algorithm, it basically or easily chooses the classification which has the most votes over all the trees in the forest. That is, for a binary dependent variable, the vote would be a yes or probably a no, right? But if it is something else, then you would see that the vote also would come up appropriately. That is, for example, if we fit 500 trees and a case is out of probably 200 bags, then we would notice that 160 bags probably go into case 1 and the rest would go into case 2 because that is what is left over. So here in this case, random forest score or RF score for class 1 is to be calculated, or for bag 1 or whatever we would want to call it. And this would, so how would we calculate it? That is, if this is okay, now let us assume that we have around 500 trees. Okay, and here OB is somewhere at around 250 on them, of them, right? So of these, okay, let us also reduce this 250 to 200 only. Even of this 200, we see that 120 and 80. 120 are probably class 1 and this is class 2. Now, in each of these cases, we see that the RF score is to be calculated. But how would that happen? That would happen when we do, uh, okay, so it is 200 on total, and so this would be 120 by 200, right, guys? And 120 by 200 is something that we would have to calculate. So now when we work on 10 by 6, we would see 6 by 10, we would know whatever is the answer, that is 0.6 almost. So now this, keeping this in mind, let us understand what is OOB, prediction for a continuous variable. Now when we have continuous variable and non-NaN values referred, then you can say, so wherever we have NaN values while growing a tree, your random forest algorithm would ensure that it generally takes care of NaN values. Right, guys? So here also the important point is each tree that we are talking of, or probably each and every tree that we are talking about, is grown on a bootstrap sample. And here we would have to grow a large number of trees in random forest because each observation that we are talking about appears in OOB sample for a lot of trees. Hence, OOB predictions can be provided for each and every case within a random forest. But then, why do we need the word random? It is because of the fact that you would be using random observations for each tree. The second is random variables are selected for splitting the node. So either which ways, even if someone says that it's not because of that, it's only because of random splitting, you can still say a yes. Right? Now, random forest also, it would not require split sampling. Why? Because it performs internal validation. This is exactly the point we were discussing about right at the beginning. Whenever we work on random forest, it works on something called as internal validation. Okay? Internal validation is available as two-thirds of the unavailable training data is used to grow tree and remaining one-third of the training data, it is always used to calculate the OOB error to assess the model performance. Right, guys, every leftover data would only try to check or would only try to evaluate the model performance. This is not supposed to be forgotten. Right, guys. Now, this is a very frequent query that I keep coming across. That is, how do we use pruning in random forest? Guys, pruning is a concept that we have in decision trees, and it is not very highly applicable or eligible to the concept of random forest. Here, we would generally be using fully grown trees. Now, if you might have a question, that is how do we cut down or how do we reduce on the data, that is where you would be having two concepts. The first one is information gain and the second one is genuine. So now, just to sum up the definitions, let us just see what is OOB error. At the end of the day, OOB error is only or also called as misclassification error. OOB error is called as the misclassification error, and this is equal to validating a test data. Okay, and in random forest, there is no necessity for us to separate test sets to validate the result because it is estimated internally as well, or it is estimated internally only. This is a repeat of the points that we are discussing. Now, as the uh, random forest that we are working on, because the random forest works only on one third of the sample, which is not used in building of that tree, you can say that this is the out of bag error estimate. All right, guys. So everything which is considered in the bag, okay, if this one bag, this second bag, and your data is 100%. Okay, let us probably take this a bit more logically. Bag one, bag two, bag three. Now, if this bag has 5,000, this bag has 2,000, then this algorithm which we have, because it is already not being considered in this bag, this is what is called as OOB estimate. And guys, now this is calculated to find out the internal error estimate. I mean that's the job of OOB estimate. And now what we'll do is let us quickly move on to the code. But before we move on to the code, what does this error rate depend on should be another query that we should be talking about. The first one is the correlation. The first one is correlation. Now this is correlation between trees, or it could be correlation between two groups or two bags or anything. Now the strength also, I mean the second point which we would be talking about in the error rate, or probably in finding out the error, would be the strength of each individual tree in the forest is reduced. That is, a tree with lower error rate is a very strong classifier, and increasing the strength of an individual tree would result in decreasing the error rate, or it would result in decreasing the forest error rate, which is the reason why we have another feature which is called as mtry. So here when we use mtry, which is nothing but the number of random variables used in each tree, it would reduce both the correlation and the strength. Right, guys? So somewhere in between, you would be finding like somewhere in between, as in once we use mtry would act as an adjustable parameter to tune or to fine tune your random forest. And guys, now how do we fine tune? Might be another question. In this case, we would first try the we would first use the mtry on some values, and then we would be calculating the value for 10 of these, after which we would be moving on to the OOB error rate. Right, guys? So now, without wasting time, let's quickly go on into the algorithm and understand this by a bit. So this is my algorithm here. Let us take a look at the theoretical part a bit later. Right. So firstly, when we talk about random forest, we know what it is. Okay. Combined together to make predictions. And when you make a random forest, you would have to specify the number of decision trees. Yes. And then the random forest algorithm takes samples randomly. We know this. And it takes samples from different groups of data records which are drawn from the original training set. This is also known. Then the decision tree which is used in random forest are little different as compared to like the counterparts. So if you talk about random forest, then decision tree is different. If you talk about decision tree, then random forest is different. Now here what we're doing is instead of growing trees where every single explanatory variable can be potentially used, at a brand new level in the tree, random forest limits the variable. Okay, so limiting the spills in or limiting the splits in this fashion, it helps to avoid the pitfall of always splitting on the same variable again and again. So it would help the random forest create a wider variety of data sets. And what would wider variant or wider data set do for us? It would reduce the variance. Okay, that is, it would reduce the overfit. Then, random forests are an example of ensemble model, a model that is composed of some contributions of several different underlying models. Ensemble models often yield better results in single model because different models may detect different patterns in data, and combining models tend to generally dull the tendency of the complex. Okay, the tendency of the complex algorithm that we already have. So here, now that we've understood what we are supposed to do, let us start working on it. So as you can see, the first three libraries, they're almost the same, no huge difference. You could use Matplotlib as well, but when a graph is not necessary, you also would not be using a graph. So here, as you can see, I have two libraries. Both of them have been instantiated. When I say both of them, here you can see we have NumPy, Pandas, and OS. Then I'm getting my path. So this is where my path is Python codes, random forest, and within random forest, I have my data. Then, yeah, coming forward or scrolling below. Here on my next step, I would be reading my data set, and after I read my data set, I would be trying to understand what all are the rows and columns that I have within. Right. So if we could understand, when we work on random forest or in like whenever we are trying to work on cases like random forest, you would be knowing that after you read the CSV and after you start checking your head or after you start checking how your data flow is happening, you would have information about your rows and columns. So here, when you have information about your rows and columns, there is two ways to understand this or look at this. Either you could just stare, and when you do that, you would be knowing which of these is unnecessary. So you can remove them. For example, I don't think I would need my age or name. So I would remove them. And likewise, I would keep working on all the ones which are necessary, and I would not work on anything which is unnecessary. Right? So yeah, that is all about variable importance, or that's all about selecting the right column for your data set. Then in my next step, I'm imputing the values for age and then embarked, and yeah. So here age that we have is a numerical column. Sex is a categorical, name is categorical, ticket is categorical, fare is continuous, cabin is again categorical or probably continuous too, we don't know. So now what I'm doing is I'm checking out the null values for my age and I'm passing. The same step is happening even for embarked. And we're doing this in order to ensure that when you have started working on your model or once you have your model, you do not want to see errors again, right? Or you do not want to see a snap again because of your code only. That is the reason why we would have to eliminate all the libraries which are unimportant, or sorry, all the columns which are unimportant or not important. And then, yeah, so here I'm using my sklearn ensemble wherein there is random forest classifier, and I'm using my sklearn import preprocessor. Now, in both of these places, I have a random seed of 12, and now I'm initializing the label encoder using label encoder is equal to preprocessing, wherein in my next step, if you see here, we're doing sex. We're finding the values from for numeric for two columns, first one being sex and the second one being embarked. And in order to do that, we're using label encoder here. And guys, what would label encoder do to us? It would encode the numeric values. So here, if we can just go back, sex is age, categorical. Here you see it is male, female. The same is with cabin. The same is with embarked. So now I would want to go ahead and start working on them. So age is taken care of. Then we have embarked, which is taken care of. So I'm imputing it with the S value. S could probably be a sleeper or a small, right? And now that my data is kind of pre-processed, in my next step I would be using label encoder this time. And again, label encoder is for these values only, that is sex and embarked. After which we are now moving on to the actual part of the algorithm, that is the crux of the algorithm. Right, so from here starts the algorithm, and you can notice that once you have your OOB score and max features or n estimators or probably whatever you're looking at, the moment you have your model which is being applied, you can see that your answer is almost over. So guys, these are some advantages of working with random forest. Right, so now going forward and completing the topic, we have OOB. OOB is out of the bag estimate or out of the bag error estimate. And here what I would be doing now is I'm using a random forest classifier, and within random forest classifier I'm using n trees or number of trees or n estimators. It would be a whooping number which is 1000, and then I would be using my max features, that is 2, that is I would be using 2 features only. Then in my third I would be using OOB score, that is out of the box or out of the bag score, and this is true. Okay, so when I use my OOB score is equal to true, you would be noticing that I would be having an OOB accuracy that would that would get printed up. Now let us just see how is this going out into algorithm. So here I'm now that we see that the OOB score has been marked as true and I'm asking for 1000 trees, it would take values at random now, right? And each tree would be having 2 features only. That is probably my first tree would be having only sex and P class. My second tree would be having P class and SIBSP. So it would be having only 2 classes per tree. Okay. So I'm considering these. And now that I have these also, or now that I have the values of sex and P class and SIBSP and embarked as well, the next step I would be looking at would be RF model. RF model, and RF model is a variable, guys, by the way, and I'm fitting RF model to the algorithm wherein I have my dependent and independent variables. Dependent is the features that we would be giving into the data set, and independent is survived. So what is it that we're trying to calculate here? Like whenever you see dependent and independent, you should know that if this is dependent and this is independent, then it would mean that dependent has my features, okay, and the one which is independent, the one which is on, okay guys, this is X and this is Y. I'm sorry, I just wrote them upside down. X is independent and Y is dependent. Okay, independent has all the features, that is, it would take two features in one go, whereas dependent is survived. So I would want to check based on two features, that is based on P class and age. Has a person survived or not? Right, guys? I hope this is being understood. Or it could also be any other two variables like age and fair. If the person based on age and based on fair, he has survived or not. Alright, guys, so it's very easy to understand. I mean, it's very straight and very simple. And now that we have calculated the features, or now that we know the features and we have put them into X and Y, the next step I would be wanting is I would be wanting my OOB accuracy. And OOB accuracy, in order to do that, you'll have to give the name of the variable followed by OOB underscore score underscore. Guys, it is not done here, right? But then here I have one question before we kind of call it one off. Would this score mean it is a good score or is it a bad score? Or would this score mean there is something more left for us to do or is it over? So here let us just take a small reading. Since random forest models they involve building trees from random subsets or bags or data, model performance can be estimated by using predictions of OOB. So yes, OOB is actually an output prediction. Okay, you can use cross validation on random forests also, but OOB validation, it provides good estimate of performance, and it also builds a lot of random forest classifiers, and it also assigns importance to value or importance to each feature which is used in the training. And the features with or probably you can say like this, features with higher importance or features which have greater importance will influence the tree more or will influence the model more, which means that there is a very strong indication between the response variable and the output. So we could now check the importance for our random forest model. But how do we do that? In order to do that, I would be using the variable importance in step 1. And in order to use variable importance or feature importance, there's nothing complex you have to do, guys. It is only feature underscore importance. This is the name of my model, and I would be using feature underscore importances followed by two underscore, one at feature and one at importance. Considering this also done, in my next step, I would be reading my test CSV and again checking what are, if there is any null values, yes or no. And there are null values in age and fair. Here it is, you can see there are null values in age and fair, and that is the reason why in order to remove the null values in age and fair, I would be filling all the values of my age with 28, right guys. And when we talk about when we talk about the other one, which is fair, then you can say we are filling the NA values of the fair with the mode, right, guys? So any number which is very highly repeating can go here, and then I'm converting some variables into numeric. Now again, this is a mandate. So sex would become 0 for male and 1 for female, or embarked would become 0 for small, 1 for medium, and 2 for large. That's what we're doing now. And after doing this, I would be now again, uh, using the test set to make predictions. And when I make predictions, I would be using a data frame. So this is the passenger ID that we would want, and this is the number of people survived. And guess so as per the model, out of 418 passengers, 153 survived and 265 did not survive. Right, guys. Now, as per the submission, the random forest model achieves. So as per this, it achieves a score of 75, which is actually worse than a decision tree. So I hope now you have understood how to reject or how to approve random forest also. Just because we are using random forest, not every time you would be having a good accuracy or you would be having an accuracy which is at par than decision tree. If you are using a horrendous data set for algorithm which is entirely different, that is when we might see errors like this. Now, when we have this kind of a problem, there are two approaches. Either we could try the parameter tuning, or you could probably try tinting your whole algorithm once again to perfection, right? So yeah, this is exactly what we are trying to do here. And even a bad result can give you more insight onto your problem and help you improve your analysis or model in future regression purposes. Right, guys? So I hope how we work on random forest, what is OOB and what is variable importance has been understood. So here, just to repeat things again, OOB is out of the bag estimate, right? It is a method wherein we measure the prediction error, right, guys? And when we talk about measuring the prediction error, it should be known to us that no error is considered to be very small. And also, right when we are talking about random forest, right when we talk about random forest, OOB becomes very, very important. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. Now, when we also have another feature that we were that I should have spoken about. So here, when we are trying to apply the machine learning algorithm of random forest to the model, we have another feature which or another property which is called as mtry. And guys, now what does mtry do, or what does this help us in doing? So it is basically a square root of the total number of predictors that we have, and it searches for optimal tree value. I mean the M trie. So if you want to find out the number of trees that correspond to stable classifier, we would be building with I mean we would be building the N tree. So we have two features. One is N tree or N estimators. The second one we have is N trie. So in N trie, or okay, let us assume that if we are building 10 classifiers for each entry value, record OOB error rate and see the number of trees where the out of bag error rate stabilizes and it reaches minimum. This is the exercise that we all can do, right? Then how do we find out or how do we find the optimal M try? When you are applying same step to the random forest which is run 10 times, the optimal number of predictors selected for the split is selected for which OOB rate stabilizes and it reaches minimum. The second one, experiment with the square root of all predictors and half of the square root value and twice of the value. You would check with mtry features, again it would come out to be the same. Thus for 1000 predictors, the number of predictors to select for each node would be 16, 32 and 64 or respectively. And then we have feature importance. Now, when we talk about feature importance or variable importance, it can be used to rank the importance of variables. Now, when we talk about ranking important variables, as you can see, or as we all know, interpretation of what I was trying to say is what we are looking at now. There is something called as mean decrease accuracy table. It represents how much removing variable would make your table more accurate. And when we take a look at it, you will be having a table something like this, right? Now, here, like assuming this is variable importance, or this is where this is how we would want to work. Each tree grown in random forest, it calculates the number of votes for the correct class which is out of bag, and then it would perform random permutation of a predictor's value. And by this variant of random population, or random permutation rather, not random population, guys, I'm sorry, by random permutation of predictors values, it would change the order of values, which is called shuffling. Then it would subtract the total number of votes from the correct data, or for the correct data, and then a correct class would get populated, and this would be supported by OOB. And the average of this number over all other trees in the forest is of raw importance, or is basically the raw importance score for variable k, and the score is normalized by taking the standard deviation. So this is how OOB, or variable importance, is to be understood. So the fifth point is variables would also be having large values for the score. Okay, because the ones which would be more important would be ranked high, and the ones which are not, they would be ranked low. Because it is because if building a current model without original values of a variable is given, then it would ensure that it makes it more worst. Keeping all these features in mind, I hope now we have understood where, why, when, and how we use OOB as a concept, or probably variable importance in random forest. Right, guys? Now let us come back to where we've started. Okay, so random forest does not overfit. You can run as many trees as you want. It is fast. Running on a dataset with 50,000 cases and 100 variables, it produced 100 trees in 11 minutes. That is at 800 megahertz. Now that is actually a whooping speed. Then out of bag error, also called out of bag estimate, is a method of measuring the prediction of the error again of random forest. Now this is here we also have boosted decision trees and other machine learning algorithms that use bootstrap aggregating to subsample the data which is used for training. Right, guys? So this is what we mean by OOB. Now, based on all the positives and based on all the fallbacks and based on the case studies we've discussed, I hope now you have understood how to build a model. Now, just before we call it off, there are two very important factors that I would want to discuss. Here also, higher the value of mean, okay, or higher the value of mean decrease accuracy, or or mean decrease Gini score, higher is the importance of the variable in the model. Right, guys. Then the second point is something to do with the mean decrease of accuracy and the mean decrease of Gini index. How much model accuracy decreases if we drop the variable is all what mean decrease accuracy talks about. And measure of variable importance, which is based on Gini impurity index, is used for the calculation of splits in trees. This is what is another parameter. So when you're working on random forest, typically there are a plethora of options that you could choose from without hesitation, right? And just to give you all a small idea, this is what we mean by a variable importance chart. So here I have all my factors, and out of all these factors, plasmids, fatty acids, and lipids are least responsible for a murder in the city, probably. Uh, then you have respiration, which is very important, RNA metabolism. So each of these are of high importance as we keep going ahead onto the top. And you could also literally check these values with digits. You need not resort to only graphical output. We could also resort to a descriptive output, and we would be looking at it when we keep going further, right, guys? So this is the advantage, or this is how we could use machine learning, wherein you have random forest and different features of random forest are understood. And guys, so I hope you have understood what is OOB, what is variable importance, and how do we use both of them in this concept of random forest. And if in case you might have liked the video, or if in case you felt that this video has been of any use to you, and guys, please do not forget to hit the like button, and also do not forget to hit the bell icon, including the subscribe, because when you do this, you would be having access to a plethora of videos to watch from, and also a great knowledge, a great deal of knowledge to be exchanged from. And guys, thank you very much. This is me, Varun, your trainer, your mentor, signing off, wishing you all the best for all your future endeavors. Thank you. Bye bye.